I represent Elibrium Fitness, and what I want to talk to you guys about today is, I guess, Heather told me I have 15 minutes, and I think 15 minutes to communicate a message that I believe is capable of changing an individual's life. I think, where do I start? Where do I start to communicate this message? We're human beings who are driven by objective, right? Each of us have a goal. Whether we want to believe it or not, even those of us who don't have a vision of where we're going in our life, we have a goal when we wake up in the morning. Our body has a goal, and that is survival, right? As well as energy conservation. So these are involuntary goals that we have, and I'll talk a little bit about those involuntary goals and how they apply to what we do. But we have personal goals. We have personal objectives, personal things that we're trying to accomplish. Each of us here today is here for a reason, has an end, to network, to be able to meet people in the community and share a message. And how do we do that? What do we do it with? We do it with our body, right? We have a physical body that enables us to do whatever it is we're going to do. To the degree that we're able to do it efficiently, effectively, and dare I say powerfully, is a matter of choice, and it's a matter of education. It's a matter of learning a little bit about what is it that makes my body work, and how do I make my body work better? How do I complete my objectives with more power, with more efficiency, with more capacity? How do my dreams become bigger? How does my vision become bigger? I call myself a movement therapist because I believe that when we learn a little bit about how our body is designed to move, that we then, there's so many metaphors in the human body. When we learn about how our body moves, it empowers us to move through our life with more efficiency, more effectively. So our mission, or our programming platform, is twofold. So we have external movement. We have the way that we move our physical body on the outside to complete our objectives, and then we have internal movement, what we put in our body in order to fuel the process of completing our objectives. Some of you who have been here have met my partner, Sandy Hughes. She deals primarily with the internal movement side of things. So she deals with our nutrition programming, the structure of that nutrition programming being based on creating an environment, an internal environment capable of responding to the food that we eat, because it's not necessarily what we put in our mouth, it's what our body is capable of working with. And so we alkalize the internal environment. And Sandy, I'm very bland with the way that I approach that, because when it comes right down to it, it's just chemicals, right? Chemicals inside our body, chemicals outside our body. We put the chemicals in, they bond with the chemicals on the inside, and they do for us what we need to do. And that's the way that I see it. And so that's the way that I eat it. This doesn't communicate very well to people. They want things to taste good. And Sandy is very good at following the principles that create these chemical bonds to make us more powerful and efficient and capable in completing our objectives, and she can make it taste good too. So she deals primarily with that. I've got some cards and some flyers and stuff. I'll pass those out, and you can check out our website and kind of give you some more information on that side of things. I'm not going to talk about that very much today. I'm going to talk about the other side of things, which is the external movement. So the way that we posture our bodies, what we do with our bodies to enable a more powerful movement through our life. The way that I like to, there's a few different ways that I like to approach this because of all these different metaphors that the body creates. there's a couple of them that I like to use. The way that our body operates, the way that our body goes through life is really a matter of force response. So whether we want to recognize it or not, and you can recognize this, how many of you have little kids who are just learning to walk, or grandkids, or nieces or nephews just learning how to walk, just learning how to go from a crawling position to a standing position? This is a very, very intense cognitive process. You can watch it in their heads. You can watch them, and as they stand up, they start doing stuff like this, right? They're all over the place. They're trying to take that first step, and they fall down. They have a very real awareness of gravity. Gravity is pressing down on them to the degree where their little bodies cannot figure out how to stabilize, right? As we grow up and we learn how to walk, we figure we've got it figured out. I've got this gravity thing figured out, so you forget about it. You start thinking about all these things that you have to do in your life, and you forget that there are external forces that are pushing down on you, and that there is ground force that is pushing up on you. And that as you walk through your life, these forces are doing this kind of stuff to you. And we see all these different postural positions that people have, different stances. Everybody stands a little bit different, right? This is our body. If we can use a balloon as an illustration, you blow up a balloon, and the balloon presses out from the inside with air equally, right? And it creates this round surface. Our bodies do essentially the same thing, only they don't do it equally. They do it however we are recognizing the force of gravity. So it depends on, do I sit all the time, all day long? Do I stand? Do I walk around? What is my personal communication with these forces of nature, and how much am I acknowledging them? How much do I know about my body and how it would effectively press out equally against these forces? Do I know enough to be able to keep myself from getting knee pain, getting ankle pain, getting back pain? Man, my shoulder hurts, my neck hurts. How do I posture myself to avoid some of these things? Is there a way to do that? Is there a way, dare I say, and I don't want to get beat up after class, but that I avoid having to go to the chiropractor? Is there a way? I know that there is, guys. I know that there's a way. And so when we have objectives with our life, with our body, and we want to complete those objectives more powerfully, then we learn about the structures that control our bones, the tissues. Because if you take these tissues away, guess what happens to your bones? They drop. Our bones are held together by tissue. What controls the tissues in our body? This, our brain. So, little kid, extremely cognitive in turning on these systems and learning how to balance and control all these muscles and tendons and ligaments and to connect these and harmonize these. Super cognitive. As we get older, super reactive. We call this stem cell activity versus cognitive activity. This is just, I got to go to the bathroom. And so you get up and you walk to the bathroom. You don't think about those steps that you're taking like a year-old individual would. Of course, they're not potty trained yet, so they're not going to use that scenario. But you get what I'm saying, right? So if we can bring this back and we can understand, we can make our movement more cognitive. We can make our awareness of gravity more cognitive. And we can be, so when I say check your posture, what does that mean to you? Most people think it just means this. Just pull your shoulders back. Pulling your shoulders back does not do anything with the control center for my movement, which is So I call this the hinge. People call it the hips. I call it the hinge because the efficiency of our movement hinges on what we do with this and how we control this. So when we learn how to deeply structure our body, when we learn how to control ourselves from the inside, and then we learn about the systems that are stabilizing us on the outside, we have these really cool lines of communication that balance us in the front, in the back, on the sides, and then the spiral line that connects us together, and then our movement system. What propels us and drives us forward, backward, laterally. When we really start to learn about how our bodies posture themselves, or at least what their potential is for movement, we start to learn about that, and then we start to become aware of it in our life, and we start to think about it. We start to think about posture as not being pulling my shoulders back, but being a deep connection with the ground, with gravity, and with my center. And I start to hold myself. It changes the way I feel about myself. It changes the way I communicate with my reality. Because now I'm taking these forces of nature and I'm using them. I'm harnessing their power. And it's enabling me to move with more confidence through my life. I absolutely know that that's true. So this is a foundation for the movement practice that we teach. We have a couple of different programs that we teach. So my history, I used to work at a gym and try to teach some programming at a gym, and what I found is that it doesn't really work very well, at least to my understanding. Our relationship with our body is a very personal relationship, and so the classes that we teach are very small. They're 8-member classes, and we have 3 specialists that are there with those 8-member classes. And our objective is to create a safe environment where you can become really cognitive and aware of yourself in space, in gravity, and learn how to rebalance yourself in such a way that you eliminate the need for corrective therapy. You prevent those kind of things. So we have those 8-member classes that we teach in the morning, and then we have a corporate wellness program that we teach. And the structure of that corporate wellness program is based on the corporation that we're working with. So we work with production companies. We work with software development companies. Each one of these companies have different postural requirements. The body is going to find itself in different positions throughout the day, and we customize our programming for those corporations based on what their employee needs are. So the movement and the posture teaching changes from corporation to corporation, but the foundation and the ability to change and enhance a person's life doesn't change. That's fundamental, regardless of what company we're working with. So, yeah, those programs are, they take into the aspect of not just posture and not just external movement, but also internal movement. And the corporate wellness program gears itself, if we were to prioritize one or the other, I mean, they're both very important, but we gear a lot of that corporate stuff to nutrition and being able to implement the nutritional aspect of movement into an individual's life. Being able to discipline ourselves there is also empowering. It's as empowering as learning how to posture ourselves well. I was talking to Stacy Beck before, and I told her that my objective with this was to inspire some thought. More than anything, I want us to think about what we do with our bodies. I want us to be more aware of ourselves, and that is the message of Elibrium. We're actually, I'm going to pull fitness out of our name. It's just going to be called Elibrium because of all the preconceived ideas about what fitness says. Am I going to go out and do a 200-pound snatch over the top of my head? No, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to teach you how to do that either. I'm going to teach individuals how to move their bodies, how to appreciate their bodies, how to reverence the gift that we feel that we've been given, because that's what this is. It's a gift. And when we recognize it as such, we act differently. We hold ourselves differently. We treat ourselves differently. And in turn, we treat other people differently. So I hope that I've inspired a little bit of thought. When you said that, I thought of my mother. Bless her heart, she's the most cynical woman I know. And she comes to one of my classes, and she has this glass half empty attitude. And as her progression is right there. It's in that, and we do address those kind of things. We do address the state of our attitude. Our emotional state plays into how we express ourselves externally with our body. I mean, really, the body is just an outward manifestation of the inward self, right? And we can train it backwards. We can train the outward self, and we can affect the inward self, and that's what I'm trying to do with my mom right now, and it's working. It's working. So her attitude changes, and she has these little moments of emotion, and it's a good thing. It's a great thing. So it's a good question. So we're on 2140 West, 700 South in Springville. So if you know where the Modeer building is, over in Springville, just across the freeway from Walmart, we are just south, the road just south of that. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me speak to you today.